Hello, this is Maggie. Today I'll be doing the chart of Madeleine McCann, a little girl who was kidnapped in Portugal. So I will be doing her natal chart as well as her transits on that horrible day she was kidnapped. Madeleine McCann was born May 12, 2003. I had to put 12 p.m. because there's no time for her. In Leicester, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, England. Yeah, so we had to put noon. So I think everyone knows the story of Madeleine. They called her Maddie. She was on vacation in Portugal with her parents. She was from England, on vacation in the agaves. And gosh, I just did her chart and it wasn't recording. It's such a complex chart, both natally and with the transits on the day she went missing. So I'll just do it again. There are a lot of quincunxes or inconjunction in both her natal chart and on that day. So the definition of a quincunx or inconjunct, it's a 150-degree angle, and frequently they're in different modalities, like fire or mutable. And they're different elements or modality, fixed or mutable, and they can't really see each other. It's kind of like a blind spot, and it could be redirecting, challenging adjustments, and diverting energy that conflicts. It's definitely it's hard to integrate this energy. It's very challenging, and there's just so many blind spots. So I could go more into that. I just wanted to dive into her chart, but there are so many quincunxes and inconjuncts. So I'll start at the beginning, and I'm going to jump around because I'm going to look at her transits as they appear on the day she was kidnapped, and also her natal wheel on the day she was born. So first of all, I could start at the beginning, I guess. First of all, she's a sun in Taurus, and that's her beauty. Taurus is ruled by Venus and just gave her incredible beauty. What compelled me to do her chart is I wanted to see if she was Pisces, because she has Piscean eyes, just the most beautiful, beautiful eyes, almost like a sea green or blue, sort of Neptunian eyes. But being ruled by Venus would explain why she's so captivatingly beautiful. So Sun in Taurus, Mercury, planet of communication, are in Taurus, and her moon is in Virgo. So she's very, very earthy. That's her predominant element, is a lot of earth. So I'm going to start with her ascendant in Leo. Her ascendant is Leo. So on the day she was it's 21 degrees with Leo. On the day she went missing, was kidnapped, Saturn, malefic, separation, hardship. And it was a terrible malefic. And Leo is children. It's children, and it's fixed fire. It's also your physical body, your personality. So Saturn sitting on her ascendant was a malefic, and she was separated from her family and went missing, kidnapped. She has Jupiter in the 12th house in Leo. So where Jupiter is, it expands. This was in a foreign country. She was on vacation by the sea. That's 12th houses by the sea. Leo, would be, they were there to play, to have fun and play in a foreign country on vacation. So in the 12th house, Jupiter's the ruler of Pisces in the 12th house. She does have it in Leo, so because Saturn was transiting Leo, um, it was the end of her family life as she knew it, and a malefic tragedy happened to her and stole her childhood. You know, Saturn just stole her childhood. So her moon is in Virgo, second house, Virgo, health, what you value, money, assets. So she was born, you know, in a well-to-do family because, you know, vacationing in the Maldives in Portugal, and I believe her mother was a doctor, the McCann family. So, but it did affect her moon. That affected her health. You know, her mental health, her emotional health. Virgo is a sign of health and work and health and detail. So the moon is her emotional self. It's 29 degrees Virgo. So yeah, it was emotionally upsetting. You know, that's where you're nurtured. I'm going to jump to where she has the 4th house. She has in Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by the 8th house. I mean, it belongs in the 8th house. It's the home, the family. It's a very deep water sign. It's joint finances, and it's also sexuality. She has the moon transiting. The moon was in Scorpio that day. That day she was kidnapped. So I put the transits on May 3rd, 2007. She's been missing since then. So hopefully she's still alive and well. And if not, she's certainly with the angels because she's such a beautiful little girl. Yeah, so she captivated everyone. Okay, move ahead. So yeah, the moon in Scorpio, emotional trauma, emotional transformative trauma for the family, for the mother, her mother. Yeah, and I'm sure it was a sex offender, you know, that invaded their family, disrupted their family home. So the moon was in Scorpio, their 4th house. They were on vacation, and Scorpio is a water sign. So they were vacationing by the sea when this event happened. Jupiter was in the 5th house, transiting. It's conjunct her Pluto. 5th house is children. It could be play, creativity, children. In this case, it's a malefic in her natal chart because she has Pluto. It's the ruler of Scorpio, square Saturn. So square Saturn in Gemini, 27 degrees in the 11th house. So Pluto square Saturn is extremely challenging. Opposition. Pluto opposed Saturn is extremely malefic, challenging opposition. So Saturn just put it all over the media, and Pluto was the bad guy who kidnapped her. It looks like he was a sex offender, pedophile, because it's Pluto in the 5th house in Sagittarius. She was on vacation. At the time, Jupiter was transiting Sagittarius in the 5th house. They were on vacation to play when this malefic event happened that captured media attention because her natal Saturn's in Gemini, and Venus was conjunct Gemini, transiting on that day in the 11th house. So yeah, that and Jupiter just expanded this horrific event that happened to her. So her Chiron is in the 5th house of children, Leo, creativity, self-expression. Her Chiron, the wounded healer, is in the 5th house. So that's her inner wounding. There was a wound to the whole family, and a very public wound because it's in Capricorn, and Capricorn rules the midheaven. Her 6th house is Aquarius, and she has both Mars, 6th house of work and health. She has Mars, in this case a malefic, and Neptune in Aquarius, 6th house of work and health. So Mars is squaring her sun. It's squaring her sun, and it's squaring Mercury. So it certainly did not help with this investigation. Neptune just fogged everything up. There's deceit, deception. She was kidnapped in her sleep, I believe. That would be Neptune. Neptune, it's the ruler of Pisces. But there was a lot of... And Mars would be... It's the malefic. Her sun is herself. So, yeah, Mars square the sun, and Mars square Mercury. The nebulous nature of her kidnapping was both malefic and nebulous at the same time. And Uranus in the 7th house is what she has natally, 7th house of personal relationships. It's in Pisces, mutable Pisces. So Uranus is sudden, unpredictable change. She has it trine to Saturn in her natal chart. So they're both in water signs. Saturn is in, Saturn's actually 27 degrees Gemini. So her transits on the day she went missing were in the 7th house of personal Is that 7th? No, I'm not there yet. I'm sorry. Neptune. Neptune was transiting 7th house personal relationships, and Uranus sudden unpredictable change. So yeah, there's just a lot of illusion, deception. Neptune rules Pisces. To this day, it's just a mystery to this day. 2 degrees. Uranus is 2 degrees. Let me just make sure. 2 degrees Pisces. So that's sudden, unpredictable change. In relationships, the 8th house, though, the 8th house is the real malefic here. Both the 8th house and Venus. There are several signatures of what happened to her that I see, and one of them is Venus transiting Venus sitting on her Saturn in Gemini in the 11th house. The other one is certainly the 8th house. She has 3 transits going on in the 8th house of Scorpio. She has it in Pisces, so that's water, mysterious, nebulous. And the third one was the moon in the 4th house in Scorpio. And there's more. There's also the Jupiter transiting Jupiter and Pluto in the Sagittarius in the 5th house. She was on vacation playing, and this bad guy, kidnapped her body. So to her 8th house of Scorpio, the offender, 8th house is joint finances, sex. In this case, I believe it was a sex offender because she has transiting Mars, the malefic, the god of war. It's the ruler of Scorpio, makes it twice as powerful. Uranus, sudden, unpredictable change. So And the North Node, transiting North Node, was also in Scorpio. So some malefic, strange, unusual, sex offender kidnapped her in this event. And it was certainly malefic, certainly was malefic, and just out of the blue, while she was sleeping. That would be Pisces. So her Venus is in Aries, ninth house, on vacation playing. And her midheaven is very, very strong. She has Sun, Mercury, and the North Node, 29 degrees Taurus, 10th house, public eye. And at the day she went missing, the Sun and Mercury were transiting her 10th house. So that would be her parents, the authorities, all the whole world was watching her. And that was in conjunct her Pluto in the fifth house. This malefic, her Pluto. I already talked about the opposition. She had Pluto opposed to Saturn and Gemini. Gemini could also be children, little children. So this horrible bad thing happened to this little child, and it just captivated the whole world. Was watching, and brought it to public attention. So that's her midheaven in Taurus, but her transits do lead with Saturn. The inconjuncts are, oh my gosh, there are so many of them. The inconjuncts are Moon in conjunct Neptune, and Moon in conjunct Mercury. The whole investigation, the whole communication about this very emotional kidnapping was very discordant, very discordant. Pieces were all over the place. Nobody could put them together. Nobody could see the real picture. It just caused so much strife. Diverting attention down different paths. And she also has Saturn in conjunct her Jupiter, natally. Saturn in conjunct her Jupiter, 12th house. And then transiting Saturn was in Leo. So her chart is so complex as it is. Only God knows, God knows our destiny. Only God knows our destiny. We have free will. We're born with gifts and challenges. Only God knows our exact timing. All I can do is color the area, and put a few key things together that would signify, maybe what happened, what area, certainly malefics. Definitely he was a predator, may have been swarthy complected because of Pluto in Sagittarius in the 5th house. And whether this was preordained or anything, that's it's like fate versus destiny, and only God knows our timing. So I pray to God that she is still alive and well, and if not, she's with the angels for sure. And God bless her parents that are still traumatized. And so in her natal chart, Saturn is square her moon. That's a 90-degree very challenging aspect. So in Gemini, up near the midheaven, so it challenged her moon. which, yeah, of course, was very challenging for her mother and her father. That would be her father and her mother. Her father and her mother just agonized over this. Uh, so I'm going to break down her elements. Uh, in fire, she has Venus, Jupiter, Ascendant, and Pluto, all in fire. A lot of fire in this little girl. Air, she has Mars, Neptune, and Saturn. I just need some coffee. Little caffeine. Mars, Neptune, and Saturn in air. That's her Gemini and Libra, Aquarius rather, Aquarius house. All the media, communication. In this case, it was negative and malefic because her Saturn in Gemini and her Mars in Aquarius, made it of a very serious nature. So that was her air, very earthy. She's extremely earthy. She has Chiron, the wounded healer, in the 5th house in Capricorn. Whole family wound to this child. 5th house rules children and the heart. Sun, Mercury, North Node, and the MC all up in the midheaven. So she was in the public eye. She was meant to be in the public eye in some way. In this case, it was not. It was a case of a missing, exploited child that is still not solved today. So, and her moon is in the 2nd house. So she was born into a probably wealthy or well-to-do family. Her mother was a doctor. That would be Virgo. Her mom was a doctor. Yeah, the moon would be her mom. Virgo is health, and it's in the wealth, the money house. So that colors it, and certainly the mental health that everyone went through because of this trauma. A lot of trauma signatures, especially with Pluto, Saturn, Venus, 8th house. Totally describes what happened to her. The transits to the 8th house, Mars, Uranus, and the North Node. Pluto sitting on, transiting Jupiter. Transiting Jupiter, just sitting right on her Pluto, and that is in conjunct to the Sun and Mercury, which is why it can't be solved to this day. I'm not saying it can't be. Maybe one day it will be, but it's just really has everyone perplexed. So her only water element was Uranus in Pisces in the 7th house. So that's sudden, unpredictable change in relationships. They were vacationing by the sea, and this sudden erratic event happened. So I will post your chart. I think I covered everything. But when you look at a chart like this, you look for themes. It very much, describes pretty much exactly what happened to her. In what area. He was definitely, he was a foreigner, kidnapped a child, swarthy complexion, that would be Pluto. Pluto rules Scorpio, so that would color his looks. And the 8th house is, again, Scorpio. Mars was a malefic. Uranus was just an electrifying event. And the North Node, just sort of I don't know this was fated or karmic, but it just happened to be transiting at that time in her 8th house. And the 8th house is Scorpio, and of course you think of sex, sex offenders, and 8th house, intense matters, intensity, passion, intrigue, because Pisces is ruled by Neptune. It just added to the illusion of the Neptunian fog. Neptune transiting the 7th house did not help with this investigation at all. Everybody was confused, conflicted. There were cover-ups, there was deceit. They were actually trying to pin it on somebody else, and it was just a mess. But that's her only water is Uranus. Uranus in the 7th house, and that is in conjunct to her moon. So this sudden, unpredictable event happened to her in her personal relationships. It really affected her mother. She was torn away from her mother, her father, and just put into the public eye. And only God knows what happened to this little angel. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.